Hey, pretty people, welcome to Bouncing Brains. I'm Sean Hatfield. And that pretty motherfucker with a coffee in his mouth is Freddie G.
That I was busy drinking coffee.
Iced coffee.
How y'all doing? Y'all good? Yeah. Is it raining over there in there? Wherever the fuck y'all are? If it's raining, leave it in the comments. Don't be a dick this time though.
This time.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know if you can hear the thunder in the background. I'm going to have to work on the noise cancellation.
I that's what I was gonna tell you. I can also hear the thunder louder in the headphone.
Can you hear the rain?
Or keep the thunder and put into like a lo-fi study beats playlist.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, dude, have you ever getting like 3 of those going at the same time and they just kind of sync up a little bit? I'm just saying.
No, but I'm gonna like try that from now on.
Look, that girl is clearly a college student. You know she's on some drugs.
Oh yeah.
And that agreeable motherfucker joining us today, Derek Flores.
What's up?
How you feeling, man?
Good. Tired, but
By
good.
the way, he's the creator of Tom and Jerry.
Well, actually, Calvin and Hobbes. This is just to advertise them so they can catch up to me.
All right. Whatever he said.
He's a secret immortal pulling some Dorian Gray shit. He ages backwards.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
But he's still got all his racist views from the 50s.
In 4 years,
You sleep in a coffin with like oxygen tanks and everything on it.
Actually, a funny story about a coffin. One time I was at a Halloween party, and I was like really drunk. So someone had like a display coffin prop, and for some reason my mind was, I'm getting bad reception. Hold on, let me get in the coffin real quick. And so then I emerged from it. Everyone's looking at me like, "Fuck's this dude's deal?" And in my head, I'm like, "What are they staring at?" It took like 3 days to realize, like, wait, I just emerged from a coffin.
Your first words should have been, "I'm really thirsty."
Well, I didn't think about it.
So just for the people that don't know, including myself, just real quick, give them a rundown of what it is that you do and don't do if you'd like.
I attempt to be a musician. I attempt to do a lot of things, really.
Okay.
I do a little bit of producing, in terms of sound. I've written for other bands. I've been a fill-in guy for live acts. Pretty much anything musical,
and you do guitar,
bass, drums, ukulele when I need to record it, piano, pretty much anything that woodwinds, like trumpets and stuff. I can't do that. I don't know what it is that people have that gives them a clear tone. I don't have it.
Okay, and okay, great. So.
Don't sound so enthusiastic, Freddie.
No, it's because I'm not gonna lie. I had a brain fart. I have a lot of those. Because I was gonna ask you a direct question right after that, but I'm not gonna lie, it slipped my mind. Y'all should know we don't rehearse any of this shit here. Everything's off the fly for the most part.
Freddie, be honest. Is part of your brain going, please don't let the roof leak. Please don't let the roof leak.
Yes, people. in this beautiful studio where we're at, unfortunately, we have roof leaks. So I am paranoid about that because I'm paranoid that like the leak is big enough to where you're going to hear it. So I'm just wondering if y'all are going to hear it. And if you do hear it, again, don't be a dick about it. Just keep it to yourself.
Or don't keep it to yourself.
Hashtag that shit in the comments.
Roof leakers.
Roof leakers.
No, but I was going to ask you, so what...
Just pictured you doing like a Charlie Rose style interview.
Me too.
Years from now, it's like, it says here your fans are referred to as roof leakers.
Yeah,
Can you explain this?
Well, what I was gonna ask you is, how long you been a guitarist or an all around entertainer?
I've played guitar since I was 12. I've been an entertainer since I was like 17. Really?
Okay.
Like this is all I've really ever done, which sucks because I'm so bad at it. But other than that, it's going well.
So you could say that this was your first job?
Yeah, it was.
That's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, me looking at it from an entertainer standpoint.
Yeah.
I wish I could say that.
Well, I think we've had that conversation before, man. Like, both of us would rather we'd started comedy younger.
Yeah.
Probably would have saved a lot of hassle along the way.
I don't know.
You were like multitasking. You were getting into drugs and entertainment at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I think going one at a time, you just get a little too deep into the subject, and you lose track of the forest through the trees.
Yeah. Well, except that like when I'm really fucked up, like my mind just starts producing lyrics and chord progression. So I'm like, I need more drugs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a little bit about me. The reason I also kind of understand what you're saying is because at one point I was a musician too. Oh, I mean, you're talented. I was not so much. I did the whole like rapping thing.
I can't rap. I can't come up with lyrics to save my life.
Yeah, but I've always said that it's a lot harder to actually write a song like to sing.
Oh,
because when you write it, you actually also have to come up with like, holy shit. I'm like
it's
that.
An omen of what's to come, and it's
I'm
not
like
good.
I'm like that fucking dog in Up.
Oh my god!
Have you seen the movie?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like squirrel. Yeah, I'm easily distracted. It's my ADD. Leave me the fuck alone.
Dude, Sam. Like I'm working on like 4 songs. Like I'll get like I'll record one part of it. I'm like, this is great. Ooh, what's that over there? And then I'll come back to it like a month later, and I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah. When you write a song, like I learned song structure and everything because I had to.
Right.
But when you write an actual song that you have to sing, you also have to like come up with the melody.
Yeah.
See, when you and I'm telling you because I tried that.
Yeah.
And I failed horribly. But what I'm saying is, when you rap, as long as you have a snare, and a bass drum, and a bass drum. Sorry, what is in this coffee? So you don't have to worry about much because all you do is, for me, when I was writing a rap or whatever, I would just have to follow the snare, you know what I'm saying? And I've said this many times for people that don't understand songwriting or whatever. The end of the end of my punchline was at the end of every the snare or whatever.
Right.
And then normally that was the end of the bar, and then you move to the next bar and stuff like that. They're like, there's bars in that shit?
That explains a lot.
So yeah, but then when it comes to like you're writing a song and then it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna come up with a melody and the melody starts on this pitch. I was like, what the fuck does that mean in English? I was like, this is not what I do or whatever. So anyway, I did the rap thing and everything, and I was fairly successful at it. I mean, I got about 1,000 copies of a mixtape under my belt. So.
1,000 more than I've sold.
Yeah. Really?
I've been on labels and sold nothing.
No, how did you do that? You sound like Milli Vanilli.
No, what it is that
Milli and Vanilli sold a lot.
Yeah, they actually sold stuff. No, I kind of, with the way that everything's progressing, how no one's buying albums, the way I see it is music is now a business card. You don't sell someone a business card. You go, here's my card. And, they call. Or they don't, whatever. So you go, here's my songs for free, take all of it. Like, I remember one time my old manager calls us up and he's like, hey, I found a torrented version of your guys' EP online. Do you want us, we should take it down? I was like, no. First off, I'm just amazed that someone found it and decided, I'm gonna leak this. Second, like, really? They're leaking my stuff? Oh my god. And third, it's like, dude, no one's gonna spend money on it. Let them get it for free. That way, when we're in town to do a show, they'll be like, hey, I have money to buy shirts and other crap because I got his music for free anyway.
Yeah.
I forget who said it, but someone once said it used to be you do the tour to promote the album. Now you put out the album to promote the tour because that's where the money's made.
Yeah.
So when I see people complaining like, oh, they're taking my product for free, I'm like, okay, well, if the business plan's not broken, you just have to evolve with it.
Yeah.
You have to restructure it and work from there. If you're hoping to do this whole Metallica Napster thing where you want to fight Spotify for all your rights and fight this person for that and that person stole that, you're going to fail. what is making money? The show? Focus on that.
But okay, I do agree with you to like a large part of the extent. But something that I will say is that you need to, especially when it comes to music, something that's very important. No matter how much music you make, let's just say that you make one album.
Yeah.
Right. Your whole career, you just made one album. You put it out.
Yeah.
But that album does even semi great. You do want to focus on always making sure that you fully own your masters.
Oh, for sure.
Because if you don't, you can be royally fucked, like for the rest of your life. And what people don't understand is that through your masters, again, if your album is even semi-successful, it's what's gonna keep you eating and your grandchildren eating for like the rest.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the whole structure. I don't know if that mic went out. Does that sound a little funny?
Which
to you?
one? No, you sound great.
I'm tripping. Maybe the weed's kicking in.
1-900 operator. Sean, say, what are you wearing?
Can you still breathe? Loosen the top, bitch. But I think the proliferation of, I think that's the right word. Like the whole thing back in the day where the label would come in and go, let's get you down on track and here, sign this paper real quick. I think that's avoided a lot more easily now because of the proliferation of self-publishing.
For sure, yeah.
So that by the time somebody gets to you with a contract that's it's like, oh, we actually need you to sign over the rights before we record. And I think there are a lot more people that are aware that they can get fucked that way.
And that's the cool thing about now is that it used to be a label would find you playing in a small club and nobody knew who you were, unless it was local and they had heard of you through word of mouth. Now, and then they wanted to build you up into an act. Now you have to build yourself up. You have to already have 1 million followers on Twitter.
Right.
You have to already be streaming like millions in Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. Basically, you have to have already done their job for them. And then they're like, hey, we want to sign you, sign this. And you're like, no, I don't need you. Go away. I think we're really seeing the fall of the record label. And it's great, and I love it.
I think they need to transition. Let's say, for example...
They never get transition. They're done.
Well, all right, think about it this way.
Unless you're like Universal.
Let's say they had more of an in-house thing as far as like... Because like how many people do you know that have, let's say, functional management as far as like, okay, can you get me gigs in Canada?
You can do that now with the internet. It's so great. There's just a Facebook group called DIY Touring, and you just post in saying, hey, I have a show in Texas and Arkansas.
To be clear, I'm not saying that you can't DIY, but let's say the legalities about like entertainment, as far as I know, Canada has some strict limitations on what you're able to do.
No, what I was going to say, going off of like what Sean's saying, the issue is also that it's very simple for me. Like, say that you ever want to take your shit and go international. But I mean like really fucking international, like fucking Africa and fucking Dubai and shit like that. You can, but I still feel that like a distribution deal, as far as the music goes, that goes like longer. It goes longer. They have a bigger reach as far as like the ability to put you on shows, and also distribution as far as like getting your music out there. Now, I understand the online streaming and just go online, but believe it or not, there's still people that haven't heard of. Give me some random name of some new artist.
New artist, dude, I have no idea. I'm still stuck listening to the five same guys.
So somebody new right now. I'm almost sure that they haven't heard of them in like India or Africa or shit like that. And that's because they have a big platform online, but they just... Now, when you have a major label like Universal, you have that access to where you saying, you go to your manager and be like, hey, product, now you go do what you do and make sure that, you know what I'm saying? Now,
personally, I think that if you want it bad enough, you'll figure out a way to get it.
Oh,
whatever
for
you
sure,
have to do.
for sure.
And if you're hoping that some manager labels and do it for you, you're never going to make it and you have no business doing it.
No, I completely agree with you. I'm just saying that I believe that that's still a way that they can facilitate for you.
Yeah.
If But if you didn't have it, if you didn't have them,
Mhm.
I'm with you. I agree that you can still make it happen.
Yeah.
Like me, for example, and like comedy is a little
Great
different,
example,
right? But with me, I don't have a manager. I don't have an agency. I'm even forgetting what the fuck they're called. A manager, a promotion guy, a marketing guy. I don't have any of that.
Might as well say you don't have a unicorn.
Yeah, basically, I don't have any of that. But I was still able to get a show in Nebraska.
Really?
I was still able to get a show in New Mexico.
Yeah, that's awesome.
New Mexico details coming soon. Just hold on, time out. Wait a minute. So, yeah, right. And I did that myself. You know what I'm saying? Without having anything. But I'm saying, if I had a talent agent, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
those avenues would facilitate. But going back to your point, if you really want to do it,
Yeah.
you can. You know what I'm saying? So
And a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm very controlling. Everything I do, I personally need to be very hands-on.
yeah,
Like if there was if I had like a manager,
yeah.
which that's something I'm working on. Some of my old management's like, hey, we want to work with you again. I would see them more as my assistant because again, I'm I need to be in charge of the booking. I need to know every tiny detail.
Yeah.
Who did you talk to? When was it? Did they get back to us yet? At what time did they do it? Oh, you responded an hour later. Well, that's 50 minutes that's 50 minutes later than I wanted us to respond.
Yeah.
So I'm very controlling. So it might just be a me thing.
No, well, I was gonna say, when I was doing music, when I was recording these mixtapes and stuff like that, I was nobody, but I was already getting traction, like to do a show.
Oh,
back in the day. Shout out to Metropolis.
Yeah, I don't have a single song out yet. I've already done like 3 tours and asked to do 2 festivals just because of traction, and I had to drop the festivals because the promoter was very sketchy.
Yeah,
but it's cool to get that traction. It's word of mouth.
Yeah, and so I was I actually did that. Like I was doing that with like the music or whatever, but it was because of what you're saying. Oh, yeah. And I wasn't even on the radio yet. Like I wasn't on radio. I wasn't. Holy shit! Again, squirrel. I wasn't on radio or anything like that. It was just. It was very. It was like word of mouth, and it was all because, like this dude said, he was like, "Hey man, no, not him, but like just
it was
randomly."
Specifically,
I could see he pointed to the left, but you couldn't. I understand.
It was like, hey man, like this dude, like, have you heard this dude? Whatever, he does this, he does that, and then it was like, hey, like listen to his demo or whatever. It was me and another guy. We literally sold 1,000 copies of the mixtape straight out the trunk of my car.
Oh, okay,
you know
that's a whole different thing. Yeah.
See. That's what I'm telling you. This was before Spotify, before fucking. All we had, the closest thing to social media was MySpace Music.
Oh my God,
do you remember that bullshit?
Music,
That's all we had. You know what I'm saying?
There's still motherfuckers out here doing shit through SoundCloud. So I mean, and
even SoundCloud. Okay, I remember the first time my friend came up to me. He's like, "Yo, we need to get on SoundCloud." I was like, what the fuck is SoundCloud? And he's like, it's a digital platform. And then I was like, what is a digital platform? He's like, you put your music on there and then people download it. And then my question was, why do I want them to download? I need them to buy this shit. I don't want them to download it.
Like, I know that was the first thought in your head, but how are we going to get their money?
Yeah. I was like, I need, because we were going out to these places physically and we, like, I gave you my CD. Yeah. You gave me your money. Yeah. This is how I knew that I wasn't getting ripped off.
Yeah, the old business
model. And then he just told me, you just need to put it online and they're going to download it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, fine. How do I get that money? And then when he told me, he was like, well, you're not going to get money. I was like, I'm not doing it. I was like, I was like, why would I give it for free if I can go here and they're buying it? You know what I mean? So that was the whole, and again, it was the creative part to where I needed to have control
For sure.
of everything.
For sure.
Even to like the songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
You know how like when you work with a producer,
Oh, yeah.
they normally tell you, well, can you do these 4 bars this way?
Yeah.
And I was fine I was fine doing that, but I was more so like, I hated when they told me, well, can you, as soon as they said, can you take this out? And can you not say this? I was like, whoa. With my lyrics.
That's one of the things I actually started to love, is that if we play a riff or a melody or something, the producer who I went in just thinking, well, I hired that guy, so obviously I trust him. He's been doing this for 5 years. He has 5 years more experience than I do. So if he's like, do it this way, I'm like, well, I don't know shit. That guy knows everything. And luckily, since I've been doing this since I was like 17, I've gotten to a point where I can record at home, just on my computer, and I'll be like, that's crap. And I'll think about like all my experiences in different studios and producers and be like, okay, well, what if that guy were here, what would he say? And like I'll spend hours, recording a thing, and then I'll listen back and go, no, horrible. I should have fixed it here. That one's flat. Let's try this a half step lower. Instead of that chord, let's invert that into a 7th.
Are you like that with lyrics too?
With
like
lyrics,
dude,
when it comes to lyrics, I'm like way harder on myself.
Well, what I'm saying is, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, there was people that would say, well, I mean, can you change this lyric? Can you not say? When it got to that point, I was like, bro, and I would tell them, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure you know what you're doing. It's just when it came to my lyrics, I was not cool. Because I was like this is me. Like you're telling me to be less of me for whatever reason. And I just had
the thing with that is sometimes lyrics just don't fit. Like I've done things where my lyrical processes, I will mumble incoherently, like just random words into a microphone to find the melody, and then I will fix it later. Like, for example, on the way over here, I just had like an idea of a lyric, and it was, I don't even remember what it was, but I know that like if you wrote it down on paper into a sentence, the sentence doesn't make sense, but it flows very, it has a good phrasing.
Yeah.
Like, just sometimes the lyrics don't even make sense. You read them out loud, you're like, if somebody read that, they would think I had a stroke or something.
To be honest, that's I know I've mentioned this to you before, Freddie, but I dabbled with rap and like kind of freestyle even a little bit at a point in time. And like, honestly, with the freestyle, I could never get to the point where it was like, I'm going to do this in front of people because like I would get more interested in the actual flow of the, the melody, I guess you might say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it would devolve into incoherent mumbling. Whereas if I was actually sitting down and writing, as you were saying, much more, harder on yourself. Just throw this out here. I don't know if this, when you were talking, this kind of reminded me, like, again, played around with some songwriting for a while, never got to the point where it was like I had a couple friends go like, dude, come out to the show. And then like, hey, the show got canceled. So it just never happened.
Yeah.
But like, I was into this sounds weird at first, but I was into poetry and whistling.
That's cool.
And like the poetry got me.
That's all music is.
Well, there's the thing. The whole mumbling incoherently thing didn't come till later because basically I was trying to get the poetry and the whistling to meet somewhere in the middle where it's like I can come up with the melody by itself and it exists by itself, and then you can kind of fit words onto it, and I can come up with the lyrics by themselves or the words, and then try to fit that into a song. Like I've handed a couple of things to friends and have been like, hey, dude, if you can fit this to some music, go for it. And a lot of times they're like, nah, it doesn't work quite that way.
For sure.
But when you kind of meet it somewhere in the middle, like the multidisciplinary thing, like you were saying, like just kind of picking up the way you were talking about, picking up things here and there.
Yeah.
People come to you. When you were talking about that, I'm trying to remember where I heard it, but rather than someone coming to you and saying, you're wrong, do it my way, if they come to you and go, hey, here's an option. You interested in trying this?
Exactly.
They basically handing you a new toy and going,
exactly,
play around with it, see if you like it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, any producer you hire to help you work on a thing, their name is still on it. They're still going to be like, I helped write this, and they want it to be as good as possible.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's everybody working together to create one product.
Yeah.
There are times though where they are just trying to get you out the door.
But there's and that's the whole issue, and I understand it again because of how controlling I am with my material. But then I think, and I'm not saying that I'm anywhere near as great as them. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, you don't know that either. Maybe you are.
I'm pretty sure. Well, listen to what I'm gonna say, and then you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I get it."
Judge him.
Yeah. That's what, like, the whole creative control is the reason that the world never got that Rakim and Dr. Dre album. That's why it never happened, because Rakim is the exact same way. He's very controlling of his work. Dre, from various artists, I heard that he's also very hands-on, and he will tell you down to the word how to say it.
Yeah.
He's like, no, say it like this.
Yeah.
And he actually, there's a story where he made Ice Cube repeat 2 words for like an hour. 2 words. He was like, say it over, like that, right? So, because of those creative differences, we never got that Rakim and produced by Dr. Dre, and it was a record that they had signed on to like do, and it never happened.
Maybe
So
that's
I don't know, man. I think I would have loved.
Oh yeah,
I would have loved that. I mean, as a fan,
yeah,
I would have
for sure.
loved that record. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, because of creative differences like that, possible masterpieces.
Just to offer some benefit of the doubt, man, as far as like Dr. Dre, just like being a fan of his production and all that. I think he was dealing with so many fucking knuckleheads when he was coming up in it, that like the whole thing about like, you know, I'm going to tell you exactly how to fucking deliver your shit. Because you're probably dealing with a lot of guys who just show up and, you know, maybe on performance night they were good, but you get them, you know, in front of a microphone with no crowd there.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand what you're saying.
But you take that and try to actually do that with people who are conscious of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it comes off as, like I was saying, you know, you're wrong, do it my way type of shit.
Well, but I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, think about the example that I gave you. This is Ice Cube.
Yeah, that's
this is like way later in his career. This wasn't like when they started out. Like, this is, but Ice Cube took a different approach, and that record happened. I don't remember what record it was, but that record happened because Cube understood who Dr. Dre was, and the work, like how can I say it? I'm not saying it correctly. Like, he basically. Okay, I'm going to use his words. He said, if you let Dr. Dre just completely drive, you're going to end up with a classic record. So that's why he didn't like that whole word thing. Like, say this over and over. And that's why he didn't have a problem with it. Because he was like, all right, he's doing it for a reason. So
all right.
Yeah.
Just to flip positions and offer no benefit of the doubt, I totally believe that Ice Cube might be the type of motherfucker that goes, this album's going to make a lot of money if we have Dre's name on here. I'm going to do whatever that goofy motherfucker tells me to.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a reason I'll make a lot of money with his name.
Yeah.
Well, true, man, but like...
It goes back to the whole, like, you hire a producer, you spend your money on that guy because you want that guy. But at the same time, there is his name itself is a brand.
What he's saying is, yeah, his name might be the branding, but there's a reason why that name became a brand.
Not to say that there's not some craft work there, man, but like, all right,
it's amazing what he does.
As much as Ice Cube seemed to be very hands-on and conscious of what he was doing real early in his career, like a lot of those early albums were... You could tell he had sat down and put some thought into this.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
At a certain point, he went, oh, bank account's full. I don't give a fuck what we do now.
I would do the same.
Not to say that he's not a craftsman, not to say that he's not occasionally an artist even, man. Some of the later albums did have some fucking bangers on there. But
I disagree with that as far as people like Ice Cube and like Eminem.
And I'm not accusing him of that necessarily. I'm just saying that is definitely something he's susceptible to.
He's like, we have an argument going on.
Sitting over here like Wimbledon.
No, I'm just saying that like with people like Ice Cube and people like Eminem, I highly doubt that was the case, and I'll tell you why. Because these people, I follow these people like their whole careers. Mm-hmm. So these people, through their careers and through their work, have shown me as a consumer that what they do it because of the artistry and the craft. Like they love the craft. So what I'm saying is, like I never feel that at any point in time they were like, oh, fuck it, like I have money, because they could. You know what I'm saying? They were, oh, fuck it, I have a shitload of money, I don't need to, you know what I'm saying?
Fair point. Barbershop 2.
Oh, but we were movies. This is different. We're talking about music.
If I had all the money, I had all the money in the world, I'd make all the shitty movies possible.
Oh, no doubt, man.
You know what a Troma is, right?
Yes, love them,
dude. If I were like superstar status, selling a Madison Square Garden on the daily, I'd make shitty Troma movies.
I don't know how many podcasts you listen to, but if you're ever on the road and you want to listen to some stories about that, there's a dude named Zach Amico. He's a comic up in New York that he does like directing production shit for Troma. He's got stories about them like renting out like an old mortuary that was like haunted and shit. They were in there for like 3 months. He's like, if it wasn't haunted when we started, it was when we finished.
I feel like I've heard that somewhere. I that. I can't remember where, but I know I've heard that before.
Fascinating dude. But I get you, man. And even with Troma, I think they started from schlock and then just kind of went, okay, this is our thing. Like for better or worse, they stuck to what got them there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they tried to kind of branch out and do some serious films like back in the late 80s, early 90s, and it just didn't really go anywhere. There's some good movies.
Oh, for sure. Didn't really work. What it is the principle of it, because Lloyd Kaufman is honestly a hero of mine. That is a dude who's like, I am who I am. He graduated from Yale. He went to Yale, dude. And he's like, I'm going to make shitty movies. I'm going to distribute them myself. I'm going to fund them myself, produce them myself, because nobody else wanted them.
Right.
And he's like, well, you know what? I don't care if nobody wants it. I like it, so there must be an audience for it somewhere. And just always stuck to that.
My favorite quote about him was, actually, I heard it listening to that dude, Amico. He was talking about some chick who had been involved in doing like graphic work for him for posters and shit. Uh-huh. And she was big in the scene. And then it came out that she was like hardcore, like Nazi supremacist type. Like
that seems up there.
They had her with like iron crosses and all this shit. And it was like they were getting calls behind the scenes like, oh, hey, do you know about what's her name and all this? So they call up Kaufman and they're like, dude, man, we gotta like cut her from all this shit. And he's like, oh, it's a shame. She had a great pair of tits.
I love that Lloyd Kaufman humor.
Dude, yeah.
I want to be his best friend so badly.
Okay, but I
want to be his best friend.
But let's contrast that a little bit. Let's be honest, man. And don't get me wrong, I think Ice Cube, in particular, just to stick to that example, I think he cultivated the persona for a long time. Yeah. So when he stepped back away from that a little bit, it was kind of like, oh, Cube sold out. It was like, nah, man, it was just like, that was, like, even he says, like, in the early interviews, it's like, this whole, like, gangster thing, like, yeah, man, he's a bit of a, he grew up where he grew up, but this is also a bit of an artistic choice. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
But I think also I do understand what you're saying, but I think also as an artist, like something that I feel that if a lot more consumer people like myself would understand, is like, I hate when people say that, like people would like with Ice Cube or like with, any gangster rapper, to put it that way.
Yeah.
When they feel that through like, let's say the second half of their career that they changed, they're quick to automatically say, oh, well, they sold out.
Yeah.
You have to understand that, like, they can, like Jay-Z, for example. A lot of people, like, use Jay-Z as an example of that. But, like, my standpoint is you have to understand, like, the early part of their career, like, you heard all of these and you got all this music because that's the life that they were living. you have to understand that now they have millions upon millions of dollars, so they no longer have.
Okay, let's be clear, man. With Ice Cube, a lot of the shit he was, especially some of the more extreme, songs with more graphic shit, man. Like that was not day to day for Ice Cube. Can't even remember the motherfucker's given name, but yeah, look, man, he was living way better than some of his contemporaries.
Oh yeah.
Not to say perfect, man. He lived in the fucking neighborhood. He was from there. It just was not.
But he was broke and he was hungry and he was homeless at one point. So what part is not?
At what point, man? Yeah, man. But he wasn't out there fucking banging 24/7, man. Like if anything,
nobody does.
Like, dude. But I'm saying, like, if anybody kind of fit the bill of the nerdy art kid, even to the point that he did, like that was Ice Cube, man. You go back and like look at like some of the shit he was doing, like with his education and shit like that. He was heavily involved in some of the programs, probably trying to not get involved in some of the grimier shit. But like, I'm just saying he was more of an observer than a motherfucker who's coming back and reading you pages from his journal.
That actually reminds me of the Rolling Stones. Because a lot of people think the Beatles are the, cutesy guys and the Rolling Stones are gritty. In reality, the Beatles were these guys who grew up poor, who, when they finally got management, they're like, hey, we need you to clean up your look, we'll make you a lot of money. They're like, well, we've never had money, we'll take it. And there's a quote from John Lennon where he told them, we'll do it your way, but you better make us very fucking rich. Because before, they'd walk around with like switchblades, leather jackets, and like unkempt long hair. It wasn't, until they got signed, they're like, hey, clean up your look and you'll do better. The Rolling Stones, all their parents were like businessmen. They went to art school and they were like, well, we don't need to conform to make money because if this doesn't work out, I have a job at my dad's office. So it really goes back to that in a way.
That's the reason why. I mean, I'm not saying them, but that's the reason why I have a real big bone to pick with like artists like Drake, because like he's marketable and he's talented to a certain extent. I don't take that away from him. Somebody is selling him. That's why he's making millions of dollars.
Right.
But the whole fact of like the story that was sold, that he was, that he had a rough upbringing and that it was hard. I was like, bro, that's not true. His mom's a doctor and his daddy's a lawyer, or vice versa. I don't know which is which. But I'm sorry, like I wasn't there, but I'm like 90% sure this kid does not know, and I shouldn't call him a kid because I think he's my age, but this man does not know.
Well, let's say
like
most reasonable
the struggle.
Well, like let's say most reasonable example, like his parents were professionals. They were out of the house all day, and even like I know we can crack on Canada all day long, man, but like fucking
Oh yeah, I forgot he's Canadian. This has nothing to do with the fact that he's Canadian.
You think you can't get fucked up in inner city fucking Canada? You're wrong. There are some places granted, I've never visited because frankly the Canadians freak me out. But there are some stories you can listen to. Anyway, long story short, man. Let's say he was a latchkey kid and he was just running around with some motherfuckers who probably did have it a lot worse than he did. Okay.
But he wasn't though. Like what I'm saying is like he lived around. I'm not gonna say he lived around rich folks like his whole life. I'm just saying that even when he didn't, he lived around well-off people like his whole life.
I would take
like people were not breaking into his house randomly. Like
it was premeditated. When they broke in, it's because he pissed them off.
Maybe I don't know.
That's why I'm not a comedian.
I'm sorry, bro. I got it late. It's my ADD. Forgive me for that.
Yeah, I got it late.
Yeah, I just got it late.
So they stole all my shit. Were your doors locked? Yeah. I mean, no, not at all. Why would you lock your doors? What I was going to say was, man, I just from the kind of shit he seems to be into as an adult with money, I'd say he was probably trying to run around with some motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some
Now
motherfuckers
that's
just
different.
Get interested.
Like if you chosenly chose to put yourself in that position, that's different.
Yeah.
That because I know plenty motherfuckers that got into like the drug business when they didn't need to. It's like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, they're doing it because they don't have any other options. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, you have your mom and you have your dad, and not
They
only
give you an
that,
allowance. Yeah.
exactly, you get an allowance. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they give you money because they want to give you money. These people have no money. So a lot of them have no parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, even me. That's why I never lied about. Well, I mean, I never lied about anything like that because we had it rough, but because like I was actually just talking to my ex-wife about this shit.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know how it worked for you or like how you were bringing over. I don't know if you can relate, but we were actually talking because I didn't realize that I was broke, that I was poor until I went to school.
Really?
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I went to school and then I was like, oh shit, how come they got new clothes and I don't? And because back then, like, Start, y'all remember Starter?
Mm-hmm.
Starter was a shit back then. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how old you are.
27.
You there? but no, it's because I'm old as fuck. Well, I mean, at least I feel old as fuck.
Trying to remember what comic does that joke about, like, my mom would put shit on layaway by the time it got out that she was already out of fashion.
Yeah. So like Starter was a shit, right?
Yeah.
So then I went to school. And, you know, people would make fun of me because I was wearing the same shit like from last year, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is when I was growing up, that's what I knew to be normal. Like the secondhand stores and like the hand-me-downs and all this shit. Like that shit was normal. But when I got to school, I realized that, oh shit, like this is not not normal or whatever.
Yeah.
So then I remember coming home and I remember asking my mom, I was like, hey, how come I don't have no new clothes? And then she looked at me, she was like, what do you mean you have no new clothes? Well, the kids at school, like, they have shoes and shit. I didn't even know what Nike was. I was like, what the fuck is that? And then it was like, and I remember this kid at 8 years old or some shit. He was like, oh, they're Nikes. And I was like, what is that? He's like, where I was like, where'd you get them? And he told me, again, I don't know when you're old, you're 27, but do y'all remember, I was like, where'd you get them at? And he told me, oh, at Just for Feet.
Oh, and it had the basketball court inside.
Yeah,
Dude, that was so cool.
Yeah, so I was like, what the fuck is Just for Feet, you know? And he was like, oh, tell your parents. So I told my mom, I was like, hey man, my pair of shoes, my pair of shoes that I was supposed to get was coming up. And I was like, hey, can we go? Oh, because we used to shop at Payless, right?
Yeah.
When we moved up in society, we moved up to Payless.
Yeah.
But that was new shit, you know what I mean? So I was cool. I was trying to get the Batmans and shit like that, right? Yeah. That's why I relate a lot to that joke that Kevin Hart, I'm not Kevin, Cat Williams says. The one about the you know, that he took his kid and he was like, let me buy you the Batmans. So it was like, you know, trying to get the Batmans or whatever. But then I told my mom, I was like, can we go to Just for Feet? And then my mom, like, she didn't want to take me there. Yeah. So long story short, later I found out, like, why she didn't want to take me there. She didn't want to take me there because she knew what it was and she knew what I wanted and she couldn't afford that. So then I was like, so anyway, point of the story is that I didn't realize that I was poor until I went to school and I saw what the kids had and what I didn't have. But then if you have a conversation with my mom, well, I mean, you can't have it now because she's gone. But any time that anybody had a conversation with my mom, she told everybody that she made it seem like we were rich, like we had everything in the world. So when you upbring a kid with that mentality, it makes you feel like you're like it's normal.
Yeah.
Like this is all you have and you need, right? But it's kind of fucked up when that kid goes out into the world and you see
And
other
just shell
people,
shocked.
yeah, and then everybody's showing you, and then what really broke my heart was when I discovered Jordans. And I was like, oh shit, I wanted them or whatever. At this time I was already 13, I think. And then I remember what I came to grow to understand the concept of like what Jordans were.
Yeah.
And then I went to the store and I saw, it was the first time ever, a pair of Jordans was the first time ever that I realized that I saw, $100 price tag on a fucking shoe. I was like, it's $100 for that? I was like, what the? But in me, I was like, I want it.
Yeah.
I want that bitch on the wall. You know what I mean? And I still remember my first pair of Jordans. It was a pair of Jordan 6s. I don't know if y'all know anything about Jordan.
I really don't know too much about shoes.
Yeah. So it was a pair of Jordan 6s, which, by the way, they don't make anymore. So yeah, I really wanted that, and
Try not to get Rain Man on the audience. number 6, definitely number 6s.
But yeah, like I
5 minutes to Wapner. 5 minutes to Wapner.
So anyway, so that was my point. Like, I didn't realize that, you know, but now I think about it, I think about like the flip side of it.
Yeah.
And I think back, and I also do understand what my mom used to tell me, because my mom used to tell me all the time, you're not poor. Like, poor is a mentality. Like, you're being, you know what I'm saying?
You're just broke.
He's like, poor is a mentality. You're not poor. But I understood what she was trying to say, because when I took a step back and I realized that at the end of the day, I had a roof over my head, I had clothes on my back, and I had food on the table. And then I also realized that there was other people that didn't. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. There was a point in time in my life where I had oatmeal for breakfast and oatmeal for lunch and oatmeal for dinner. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I still had food. That was the point. Like, I didn't go to sleep. I can honestly tell you, throughout my whole life, I can't remember a day where I went without eating. I mean, as a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
When I went without eating because we didn't have food. You know what I'm saying? But so that's why I understood my mom when she said, like, you're not poor. You know what I'm saying? That, like, that's in your mind or whatever. So, anyway, to relate back to the Drake story, I don't think, this dude grew up around a lot of, like, even, like, well-off people.
He had
So
the Jordan 6s.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Again, his mama was a doctor, his daddy was a lawyer, so I'm pretty sure he had all kinds of pairs.
Let me put it this way, man. I can have at least a little bit of benefit of I can give at least a little benefit of the doubt there, just because, like, the one time I did live in the suburbs that would have been considered a reasonably nice house and shit, like, we were broke as fuck, and a lot of our neighbors were broke as fuck, and a lot of our neighbors had boats in the driveway. So it's both.
Yeah.
It's both. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
And I know motherfuckers whose parents were professionals, working, you know, good, what would be considered good jobs.
Good job.
And still, you know, you'd walk into the house and, like you said, there ain't nothing but oatmeal in the motherfucking pantry.
Yeah.
It just,
And it wasn't even the ones with, like, the dinosaur eggs.
No.
Regular.
Just regular shit.
you ain't even got the stone ground oatmeal.
You lucky if that day you got milk instead of water with that motherfucker. And I even think about it with my daughter now. A lot of my childhood I relate now with my kid. So going back to the shoes, right?
Yeah.
Everything I got was secondhand and shit.
Yeah.
My kid, when she was born, she got a pair of Jordans. And I was so envious that her grandfather got her a fucking pair of Jordans straight out the fucking gate. And I was like, when I look at her and
Like,
sometimes,
who's she gonna flex on?
yeah,
Well, hey, let me throw this at you, and maybe you might have similar experience. You remember, like, okay, back before, like, your peers were dealing drugs. You know, back before that was like, it's like, oh yeah, I know a few people who dabble.
Yeah.
Like, I remember kids that were like swapping shoes, swapping fucking, you know, like pieces of like sports equipment or fucking, you know, just, you know, even you take it back to like, you know, pogs and shit like that, like toys and stuff like that. They were always.
What the fuck is a pog?
Remember the little discs, little cardboard discs, and then you take the big, the heavy metal one, slam it down, and like try to get them outside of the circle. It was a stupid fucking game that sold pieces of cardboard. It was genius.
It was.
Point being is, man, even that kind of stupid shit.
I
it,
played
like,
with the same shot.
imagine, like, dude, I remember a motherfucker that was into the.
And that's because we made it.
They used to have these Power Ranger things where it was like a little spinner where like you had like you'd wind it up and then like the two little tops would like clack and it was
Beyblades?
this predates Beyblades.
Oh no.
Yeah, and they were Mighty Morphin Power Rangers themed. Anyway, man, point was I remember motherfuckers back in elementary school already basically dabbling in the market, like over trivial shit, but occasionally over fucking some motherfuckers were trading shoes, man. Like, and here's the thing, you'd see like let's say there's like 3 of these guys over the entire school. You'd see the shoes go from hand to hand, and like they were new shoes. You know what I mean? It's not like they were wearing last season's kicks. But you could see them kind of swapping out. It's like, okay, don't necessarily have enough money to maintain a new fucking, you know, wardrobe, but you can switch shit out here and there, and you can see them already kind of. And usually it was the kids that came from, to be honest, like working homes. You know what I mean? Where it's like, look, they're not going hungry. Mom and dad got a roof over their head, you know, food in their bellies and all that shit. But they're not at that level of, you know, mom and dad aren't getting them the new clothes and all that shit.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the conversation we've had about money, man. I think there needs to be an outlet for ambitious people.
For sure.
Not always healthy. You know what I mean? Like you got to question why a fucking, you know, 10-year-old is worried about $100 pair of shoes, but you know.
Well, first of all, I wasn't 10.
He was 11.
I was 13.
No, but I remember this shit going on in elementary school, man.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like
the shit that I'm telling you, it was in elementary.
Let me put it this way: I remember 2 kinds of kids that would wear the $100 pairs of shoes: the rich kids and the ambitious kids. You know what I mean?
Well, I was actually going to go into that, like how I got my first pair of Jordans, but
a lot of those motherfuckers that were, let's say, trading in petty stuff like that, did eventually move on to moving, you know, drugs and not even drugs. I know a couple motherfuckers that got into like selling mixtapes and selling fucking just.
Well, I was going to say
I was on the outside of all of that. Growing up, I did not have a lot of friends, and I was very like antisocial and like kind of chubby and just kept to myself.
Too. Yeah,
and like nobody hung out with me or talked to me, so I'd see people trading Pokemon cards, and I was like, I would buy those, but I don't have friends to trade with anymore.
And see, with me, I mean, not in elementary, obviously, but like in high school, I was like that too. And I was introverted, and nobody talked to me and stuff like that.
I didn't realize I was introverted till somebody, I think it was 5th grade, said, you know, all the girls have a crush on somebody. How come no one has a crush on you? And I was like, I didn't realize we were at that age where that was a thing, and now I'm self-conscious about that.
Yeah. Like with me,
fuck, were we supposed to start doing that already?
Dude, people were like, yeah, I have my girlfriend, we were doing this. I was like, wait, what? Why am I so behind?
Yeah.
Why is this random guy telling me that? And he did it, just rub it in my face too.
Well, again, that goes back to like, why was a 10-year-old worried about a $100 pair of shoes?
Yeah,
it's like,
I blame school for that shit.
No, I blame their parents, man.
But now I am handsome and talented, and he is fat and balding and has like 2 wives, so.
I think
I win.
I think one of the benefits.
I win at life, Carl.
I do. I win. I'm handsome. I have all my hair. I'm talented. You're like paying alimony to 2 different women. I've held this in for years. I tell this story a lot.
You can still be handsome and bald. Is all the fuck I'm saying.
Yes, you can.
Let's whip out the credit card debt and see which is bigger.
Don't edit this out. I want them to know.
And they will know.
Good.
We don't edit shit out, not because of you, but because we're too lazy to do it.
Well, to be clear, we do have the what were we calling it? The regret
Buyer's remorse.
Buyer's remorse.
No, well, we no longer have that shit. Fuck that. Yeah, it's going. I already had 2 bad experiences. It's going out now. If you don't like it, sue me.
Yeah.
And I say that because all the guests that have walked in here, I know personally they don't have enough money to sue me, so that's why I say that.
Sue me. I'm broke. You'll get nothing.
Motherfucker's got a lot of free time and a DIY spirit. He might just. It's like a prisoner in fucking in for life, just looking through law books, going, "I'm getting this motherfucker."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. But
you, me, and a judge.
It's funny how. What I was gonna say, and I'll tell you real quick. I won't go into the details about it, but back to the Jordan story. So I wanted those fucking shoes, but I realized my parents are broke. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a lot of money. I understood the concept of like, okay, it's not happening because they don't have money.
Yeah.
Ambition. So ever since I was a kid and I grasped an understanding of what money was and what it did for you, I wanted it. Yeah. That's the easiest way that I can put it, right? So, long story short, because of a pair of Jordans was the very, very first motivation that motivated me to sell drugs. So I sold drugs to buy a pair of Jordans. Another thing that I will say, though, and a lot of people don't understand this and won't believe me, but when I started selling drugs, I didn't know that that's what I was doing. Honest to God. Wow. I didn't know.
I feel like that's a really like common story when it comes to people who
like I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
To an extent,
yeah. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, let me explain.
Well, it's like joining the mob. Someone says, "Here's." Well,
I don't know about that.
I don't know about
joining the mob.
I'm being hyperbolic.
Just
of course.
look, I understand to a certain extent. Like, I had a dude, an older dude in my apartment complex, give me like $20 to run like a package like across the complex.
Exactly.
What I was gonna say. That's what I'm saying.
And that turns into $40 for this, and then eventually you're paying this.
So I didn't. Right.
I'm just saying, like, there was no awareness. It was just a package.
So that's what I'm saying. So check it out. I didn't start.
Ignorance?
No, I was fucking 8.
No, I'm saying for him.
I didn't. That's what I'm
he
saying.
was 13. You didn't have an excuse.
Like he's convincing himself it's not it, so he truly believes that. That's
like this.
Paulie was a good guy. He just wanted to give me some money.
This is what I'm saying. Like, I didn't start dealing drugs like knowingly that's what I was doing until I was 15. Okay. At 15, I knew what I was doing. I was 11. 11 going on 12. My next door neighbor, Nate Burrs, there were 3. They were older than me. Not much older, but they were older.
Older enough that they had some influence.
Yeah. So they had everything. That's where we used to go because they had all the latest video games. They had, Super Nintendo with all the games. They had everything. So I used to go and spend days over there. So anyway, again, long story short, my friend, crazy, his name was Freddie too. He told me, I remember him having a discussion with his brother. His brother was Fabian. He was like, and Fabian kept telling him, "No, I'm not doing it because I'm small. I don't know what the fuck is going on, right?"
Yeah.
But he was really upset, and he was like, "I'm not doing it, Freddie, because and they were going at it back and forth." He's like, "Well, it needs to get done, whatever." So then they both turn around and look at me. Wow. And then they're like, and I was like, just lost, you know what I'm saying? So then he gave me a brown paper bag and he was like, "Hey, I need you to do me a favor." He was like, "I need you to take this over there." And it was like down this, but I mean really far away, down the street. And he was like, I was like, but my thought and my initial response was like, I can't because my mom doesn't want me walking down the street. Yeah. But my mom didn't want me walking down the street because she was afraid that I was going to be hit by a car. Right. That was why. Right. So it was like, my mom's going to whoop my ass if she sees me on the street. And I kept telling him. And then he told me, he was like, "If you do this, I'll give you $10. This is, when he said that, these are the only 2 things that crossed my mind. $10, Jordan.
I knew it.
$10.
90 more of these.
So check it out. It's funny that you say that because he gave me the $10, took that brown paper bag, never opened it. Oh, and he told me, make sure no matter what, nobody stops you and do not show or give this bag other than the person that answers the door. And I was like, okay. So I took that bag, got to the thing, got to the house, knocked on the door, opened the door. The guy looked at me, and he did this, and I gave it to him. Walked back, get there, and I was like, my $10. And he was like, here. When I got those $10 in my hand, I was like, I got it. So then, now keep in mind,
Yeah.
I still don't know that what I'm doing is illegal. I don't. I really don't. So I went back.
All you knew was mom wouldn't be happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which probably makes it more fun at that age.
So then I went back and I was like, hey, you got any more brown paper bags that I can take? So he started giving me $10 for every trip. So in one day, one time, I made 50. And with $50, it crossed my mind for the very first time in my life. I was like, fuck school, why isn't everybody running paper bags? But I still didn't understand that what I was doing was...
Yeah.
So technically, I was already drug dealing. I just didn't know that's what it...
You were muling.
Well, yeah, but how the fuck was I supposed to know that was me? All I knew was that...
He gives people bags.
What's the old the dirty South line? You was a bag boy.
Pretty much. But that's how it started. And I actually did save enough money to get me that pair of Jordans.
And
now,
eventually, old Freddie got them shoes.
This was believe it or not, you might have thought that was the hardest part. No. So I went to the mall,
Trying to explain to your mom where the fuck you got the money.
Yeah, exactly. So I went to the mall and I walked in there and I was like, give me them bitches. I didn't say that, but I was like, I want those on the wall. And he gave them to me, brought me my size.
It's 125. You've got the tag. Like, oh shit, I need more bags.
so he gave
That's when I took up armed robbery.
He gave them to me. I paid. I got a receipt, and I took off. I was so happy with my fucking Jordans and shit. So then it wasn't until I got back to my friend's house that it hit me. I was like, oh shit, I new shoes. I ain't never had really nothing new.
Yeah.
Mom's gonna see them. And my mom was always a hawk with me. She knew everything about me and what I had. She knew everything I had down to the last Cheerio, bro. Like there was nothing in that house that she didn't know. So as soon as let me back up. So I was already formulating my story. So I finally got my friend to convince his mom to say that she bought them for me. So I went and I knew my mom was going to ask. And
quick question.
Yeah.
So your friend's mom wasn't hesitant at all? She was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whoa.
She was just happy to know Freddie was doing something with his life.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, she
you save that receipt, Freddie, when tax season comes.
So
gotta get your rebate. All right, Freddie, I know we can sit here and listen to stories about shoes and drugs from you all day, but we're on the first hour right now, so we'll come back and
cool. So when we come back, we're gonna talk about the entertainment life and the balance between entertainment and a relationship, and I'll share some.
We're gonna get very Dr. Phil up in here.
Oh shit! Fuck. Okay. All right. When we come back. You're going to think I'm crazy, though. I drink coffee, and I also pop a caffeine pill.
So it's like you're just always wired.
Well, I'm supposed to be, but at this point, I think my system is just like, this is not.
Hey, man, I get you. Sometimes I like a little meth in my Coke.
Yeah. No, I don't. That's I actually did that by accident once,
You know what?
and I never bought again.
Burn like hell.
No,
Yeah.
there's
I was like, dude, this is not. It felt like it felt like I put glass through my fucking
All right, let's
nostrils.
do the.
there's a lyric I really like by this singer named called Parker McCollum, where it says what was the lyric? It was like a couple cars, cocaine in the interstate, and it's all about like how sometimes you just need to like stay awake because when you're on the road, you're like driving a lot, and when you're at that point where you don't have a driver. And it reminded me of, I think it was one of the dudes from Guns N' Roses said, when you're on the road, you're partying, so you drink a lot, then you have to drive, so you have to do cocaine and wake yourself back up. You have to drink again and mellow yourself out again, and it's this constant cycle.
That never ends
Yeah. I love it.
until you run into your grave, basically.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go having a good time.
I guess that was. It kind of makes sense. Like all those motherfuckers that die going off like cliff ledges out in California.
Yeah.
It's like, you kind of bury yourself. You know what I mean? You try to get that right angle on it, where you just come straight down into some soft dirt. I don't know. That was just a thought I had. Get a nice coffin. You get those motherfuckers every once in a while. It's like, I want to be buried in my Cadillac. It's like, well, with enough brandy and a good hillside, you could pull this motherfucker off.
Yeah, that might work.
Dude, I live my life so that my funeral is like as cool as possible. Like I want to, like when I die, I want people to be like, oh wow, that guy ruled. Let's make a statue, let's have an entire statue because that guy like was the shit. Like I live my life so my funeral is like the coolest funeral of all time.
I never
It's like, hey, we're doing a Viking funeral for Derek. Oh yeah, when? Now the car's on fire.
When I was a kid, I was like, I want a Viking funeral. Then I got older and I was like, I want a monument. I want a monument attested to me.
It's like that story by Kurt Cobain when Kurt Cobain was in the third grade.
Uh-huh.
His teacher was asking the class what they wanted to be when they grow up, and then they got to him and they were like, well, what? Everybody said the typical shit of cop, police, fireman, and shit like that. And then they asked him, and then he replied, and I'm gonna butcher this quote a lot, but he said something along the lines like, I don't want to be anything. And they were like, why not? And he said something along the lines of, because I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna entertain the world, and I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out in flames, and I'm not gonna live to see it. And then they were like, and then the teacher asked him like, what do you mean you're not gonna live to see it? And he's like, oh, well, because I'm not gonna be here long.
Fucking, he called it.
And I was like, okay, all right. And we all know how that ended. So
Yeah, to be honest, that might be a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I dare you to see me past 27.
Honestly, one of my biggest regrets is not joining the 27 Club, but I'm not successful enough to do it because all these great artists who like have lived on forever all died at 27, and I'm like, shit, I'm 27 now. I have to like live a full life and then make shitty albums and then have a reunion.
No joke. At 27, I was like, 27 was a shit year. I just looked around and went, no, I'm not going out on this.
Exactly, yeah.
And then I kept telling people I'm not going to celebrate a birthday until 24, not until I beat Jesus. And yeah, now it's 36, and it's like, yeah, I'm just going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I've not heard any better options. And I like Oxygen. Just a fan.
Me too.
So, kind of to pivot a little bit, when you, so you've been doing it for how many years again?
I guess
Actively,
10 years now.
10 years.
Well, on and off. For a while, I was a concert promoter. I started like my own business at 17, where I'd bring like signed acts down to the valley. I'd book the venue, the sound guy, everything.
Thank you for booking me, man. Appreciate
You're welcome.
it.
I remember that show,
Yeah.
1998. You sold out. It was great.
Awesome.
That's what I did at 17.
You can book me again, if you
Well, I'm not going to. No, so I did that like 17, and that honestly, that I didn't realize that how much that would help me. the reason I stopped doing it was because I was really bad at it. I never made money, and I was always in debt. Like, shit, when I have to pay the sound guy this much, I don't have it. Fuck. You know, it's a whole thing. But where it helped me in the long run was I realized when the show was on, I was paying people to live my dream.
Yeah.
And every show got harder and harder. I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
And they'd come into town, and sometimes they'd crash at my place, right? So we'd party, and I'd be partying with partying with rock stars. And then I'd be like, yeah, that was a great night. The next morning, they'd leave on to the next one. And for me, it's like, all right, well, back to reality. So in a way, it was like breaking my own heart. And then...
On purpose.
Yeah, on purpose.
Yeah.
And then, but where it helped was that I realized, like, wait, I was able to contact booking agents very easily. If I put a song out, so if I use the same strategy, this is how you talk to the A&R guy from that label. This is how you contact management to see the work you're doing. I mean, it also helped that one of the guys in my old band was already on, like, a big label and was already, like, kind of famous at the time. Not, like, world famous, but, you know, well enough to where when we put something out,
to get
there
the
were
wheels
labels
rolling.
already like, hey, I've heard of that guy. I don't know you, but I know him enough.
Yeah.
So I kind of just got really lucky.
Yeah. And so 10 years and you're in a relationship now, right?
Yes.
So within, if it's not too much to ask, like in the last 10 years, how many relationships have you had?
Not a lot of serious ones, a lot of flings, but a lot of time I've also been on the road a lot with, again, different bands. And with this is an experience that was, I want to say, pretty recent, like maybe 3 years ago. I was using Tinder a lot. I don't use it to hook up. It's more of an ego thing. I like knowing that the people I like me back because I need that validation, which is why we're entertainers.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stray away from that.
We were just talking about that off air, where some of the apps just encourage behavior.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not helpful.
Yeah. Nobody goes into entertainment because they like themselves. If I liked myself, I'd be in my room playing guitar as a hobby.
Let's be honest. If somebody showed up and was like, I'm so awesome, I need to share this with you.
I'd be like, get the fuck out.
Yeah. They would get old real quick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And for a while, that's how I was. I was like that for a while. I'm not embarrassed of it because, like, that was kind of fun. From my end, it was fun. Everybody else was like, this guy's an asshole. I was like, I don't even care if they think I'm an asshole. I like me.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're way off topic. So I would there was this one specific girl I matched with who, for some reason, decided that she was going to message me. Whenever I match with someone, I never message them again. It's for the ego. And she's like, oh, well, we should hang out sometime. I'm on the road for a couple weeks for this, you know. Oh, but when are you coming back? I'm going to be back, so I get back home. Hey, want to do something? I'm busy today. Are you busy this weekend? I'm leaving on the road. I'm leaving again. So it was like constantly leaving, and it was so hard to build relationships, you know? Nobody wants to be with someone who's going to get up and leave. Next thing you know, she's like, has a new boyfriend moving in with him, and I was like, and that was one of the first times it hit me that like, oh wait, if you're going to like do relationships, they have to understand that this is like a thing that just doesn't stop.
Yeah. So the reason I asked that is because, Sean, how do I fix my mic?
Yeah. It's a knob. You can see it. Put it where you want.
You played with your knob before. I mean.
Pretty much. It does not work the same way.
Stop twisting it. You'll go blind.
So when you actually the current relationship that you're in, how long have you been in that relationship?
About a year or so.
A year.
And a lot of people think, oh, you're trying to hide her. It's like, no, my Twitter is for shit posting and jokes that only I find funny and promoting stuff that nobody cares about.
Yeah. So the reason I asked that is because within that year that you've been with that, and I don't even know her. I think I only saw her once.
Yeah.
And I mean, shout out to you, and I'm pretty sure you're a great person.
She's a big homebody.
Okay. So hopefully she doesn't hate me before she meets me. So like with this relationship, like how is it difficult doing what you do and handling your relationship?
Luckily, it hasn't been, only because she saved up a lot of money and was like, I'm going to quit my job, which she had been working for like 3 years straight, never gave herself a break. So I told her, I was like, hey, I'm going to be on the road for like 2 weeks. You said you want to quit your job. You have a lot of money saved up. Quit and go on the road with me. And so she's been going on the road with me as a multimedia manager. You know, she gets videos, pictures that I later turn into flyers and other stuff. So we haven't had to go through that being on the road without her yet.
Oh,
so when
shit.
it gets there, I'll let you know. But it hasn't gotten to that point yet. But I also am not worried because if it doesn't work, well, that's probably for the best because I don't want to be with someone who's going to say, you're on the road too much, you need to chill out a bit.
Yeah.
That's a big red flag for me.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. The way you're talking about it, you seem like you're comfortable with having her there, not only just present, but also involved as far as like the media and whatnot.
Yeah.
Is that because she's just an awesome person, or do you think that like maybe if God forbid this doesn't work out and you have to go on to the next person, do you think you'd be like, yeah, I think I'd want someone who would be there in a participatory fashion?
To be honest, man, this is my first ever stint as an act by myself. I've always been the bass player, the guitar player. I've never been the guy in front with the microphone. So I'm honestly just learning this day by day. I had to learn how to be a front man, how to like entertain a crowd without like 4 other guys with me. So I have no idea. I'm learning as I go along, and so far it's been really good.
Right on. Because I've talked to a couple people that they find that person who is not only participatory but sympathetic's not the right word, but like they get, they're not there trying to like live your life.
Yeah, no, she's not trying to live my life at all.
Okay, yeah, and a lot of times those seem to work out great.
Yeah.
Those relationships seem to be cool because it's like you're both there doing the thing.
Yeah.
It's not like you got to come home and explain like, oh, this is what my day was like. It was like, no, you were there.
To her, whenever she's on the road with me doing stuff, to her it's like, I'm on free vacation. I'm just traveling with you. Be like, hey, I need you to shoot this and that and get footage of this. Yeah, maybe I'll get to it. Okay. Well, I mean, whatever. And then she'll be like, no, I got video of this and that. Did you get this? No, I didn't notice that. But wow, this is such a nice place. We should come here more often. So I'm like, you know what? It's probably a good thing that you're not getting super involved because at that point it's like banging a coworker. Which is always a bad idea in there.
Doesn't always work out.
No. So to her, it's you do your thing, I'm going to do my thing, and if I decide to take a picture, video, or things that you can use to promote yourself, well then just be grateful when you get it. I'm like, you know what? This is good, because I'm going to start to get worried when she's like, oh yeah, we have a show on this day. I'm like, we? You mean me? When it starts to become like she's part of it, right now it's like she's voluntarily helping because she wants to. I encourage it. But when it starts becoming her trying to control and living, vicariously through me, that's when I'm going to like pull the plug and be like, no, I'm doing something else.
Yeah, that's what I was getting with as far as like the people that seem to find it beneficial in their relationships are those people where somebody can come in and fill, a space that's not being occupied without also trying to occupy their...
Exactly.
Again, like you said, the vicarious nature of...
Yeah.
And that happens in any relationship.
Oh, for sure.
But when you're the one standing up on stage going, thank you, folks, good night, it's like, I want to do that. It's like, well, you should have thought of that.
Yeah, and luckily she's like, I have no intention of being in front of people and talking and making an ass of myself and stuff like that. And I'm like, great, this is perfect. There are times where it does get weird. I think we were talking about this before, where I'm very big when it comes to crowd interaction. Because if you're not interacting with the crowd or putting on a show, it's best if I were to just stay home and you can listen to my shit online.
I will put forward that I know a couple of They're mostly session musicians, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Fill-in guys, but like they can go and do like solo performances and they just kind of blend. Not that they're not like fantastic, but they just kind of blend into the background. And I think those motherfuckers are necessary.
Oh yeah, dude, that's what I wanted to do.
Dude, I wish more places would hire them instead of putting in shitty sound
Oh my
systems.
god, dude, same. Honestly, growing up, I was way more interested in the guys whose names you didn't know. Like if it's like, oh, Bob Ezrin recorded on this Kiss record where you thought it was Ace. I'm like, yeah, I knew that, and that solo is great. It's my favorite. Everyone was all like, no, Keith Richards is the cool guy. Joe Perry. I'm like, well, what about Steve Vai, who played guitar on that David Lee Roth album? I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is. I'm like, first off, that's a crime. He is amazing. What about Bob Ezrin? We don't care who that is. We just care about the guy whose name is on.
Every once in a while, you run into somebody who's like, what do you know about the Black Beetle?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
What do you mean you don't know the Wrecking Crew? You know, just stuff like that. That's why I want it to be. I just want it to be the guy who stays in the background, plays bass or guitar or whatever. I'm where I'm needed. That's all I got to do. That's why I want it to be.
And eventually I get a check in the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do, is a guy that goes from band to band, session to session. And then when my last band broke up, I was like, I just want to be on stage again. So it turned into me doing open mics. It turned into doing different shows, turned into tours. I'm like, well, I guess this is what I'm doing. I just started because I was just trying to find someone to sing for me. I was like, I'm going to do some open mics to have fun, get that feel back. Then it was, oh, well, can you do this show? Can you do this, and that? And I was like, okay, I'm going to do one more, then I'm going to stop, find a proper singer. And then it just spiraled out of control. But back to the relationship thing. So I'm very big on crowd interaction and stuff like that. And I do believe, like, if I'm going to go see Aerosmith and Steven Tyler is just standing there and he's not running around doing his thing, I'm just going to stay home listening to Aerosmith on the CD. But sometimes, like, I'll have interaction with somebody in the crowd, and every now and then, like, she'll be like, so why did you choose her specifically? Why did you said the song goes out to her? Why? I'm like, she just seemed really into it. You know, I wanted to bring her, or she wasn't into it. I had to bring them in.
And that's the part that as a spectator, they don't, and then it's just that twist of like jealousy. And it's like, But the aspect that I get more, like we were kind of talking about it earlier, is just more of like, well, okay, well, I mean, did that really happen? Or and it's like, bro, like, and sometimes I really do have to look and be like, this is jokes. Like, I'm trying to get to a laugh because that's my job. If I don't get the laugh, I didn't do my job. You know what I mean?
Dude,
So,
for sure. Like,
so,
I think I was in Waco? I don't know where I was. And so I was introducing a song that I can't talk about yet. There's a bunch of red tape stopping me and stuff like that. I'm fortunate to be in that position right now, and I'm loving every second of it. Where I said, this song's about when you like something along the lines of when you wake up and look at the person next to you and you're like, who the fuck is this? It was one of those, I forgot, it was much more entertaining and more charismatic on stage, I hope. And so afterwards she's like, so who is that about? And I was like, it's not about anybody. These songs don't mean anything. They're just random words put together melodically.
Every once in a while, you just want to turn to them and go, you know I knew people before you, right?
Oh my god, dudes. Yes, exactly. So who the fuck about? Like, she'll find songs from like that I did years ago, and she'll be like, I don't like this song. What's wrong with it? I love it. That part's great. Because I know that when you're doing it, it was about that one girl. So I don't like this one. I'm like, okay, well, you're 22, I'm 27. There's a pretty big gap there. I knew I knew people. I had a life. I've been doing this since I was 17. I've been on the road forever. Things happen.
Yeah. And it's, like at one point I was talking to a girl and I was just starting to get out on the road, like on the road, right?
Yeah.
So then, she hadn't been to any of my shows yet. Thank God. Right. And so I was doing shows or whatever, and she just randomly, well, I mean, not randomly, this shit was premeditated, I know. She looked at me and she was.
Oh, he says premeditated and there's thunder.
Yeah.
It was premeditated.
Like she looked at me and she was like, how personal do you get in your comedy? And I was like, it's 100%. Like everything,
All comedy's personal.
everything that I do and say, I was like, this is my life.
Yeah.
It's what my, and I told her, I was like, you should come to one of my shows so you can see what it's like. And then she said, so you talk about everything? And I was like, yeah, pretty much. And then she was like, so if we were to be a thing, would you, she said, would you talk about us? And I was like, first of all, what the fuck is a thing?
Freddie, adjust that mic.
I was like,
Second, I've been writing material about you since the second we met.
yeah.
Trying to find something.
I was like, first of all, what the fuck is a thing, you know? And she was like, yeah, if we were to become like a relationship or whatever, she was like, would you talk about like our personal stuff? And I told her, I was like, yes, I would. She was like, but why? And I was like, because that's where my material comes from.
Yeah.
Like everything that I told her, I was like, I am not an observational comic. Like I don't talk about like shit that I see with other, like all my shit is stuff that I done.
Yeah.
That's what, when I talk about drugs, it's because I've been on drugs.
Yeah.
And these are my experiences. So it's like, if I have a relationship, if I get married, like I'm gonna talk about this because
For sure.
it's my life. And she was like, and she told me, she was like, well, if we ever become a relationship, she was like, she said, and I quote, you can't talk about our relationship. And I was
did
like,
last week.
I was like, well, I just need you to know that you telling me that I can't do something, I'm going to just tell you, like I've told bookers, if you're telling me that I can't talk about something, more than likely the show's not going to go on. Because I'm not going to, I mean, if you tell me off the bat, hey man, we're hiring you, but the show's got to be clean, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me the day of the show, bro, you can't say this. Because it's not going to.
Just on from personal experience.
I'm just going to say it even more.
If they start out with, hey, please don't talk about me on stage. You know what I mean? Once you get past like your second, third date when it's like, hey, it looks like we're going to be doing this for a little bit. And they're like, please don't talk about me on stage. Whereas if it's like, you know, second or third month or so and they know full well what the fuck you do. And then they go, I don't want you talking about me on stage. It's like, well, I wasn't planning to, but I was actually thinking about this a while back. Had a line that I just haven't figured out how to work into a piece of material, but it's like, look, as long as we're dating, I'm not going to talk about you. After that, it's 18 months or until I'm done with the therapy sessions.
And see with me, I can't even do that. I just like I told her, if it's funny, I'm gonna fucking talk about it. Period. Like I'm an entertainer. It's like telling a kid, putting a kid in a candy store filled with fucking candy, locking them in there.
Oh my God.
But then telling them, don't touch anything.
Look,
I'm a candy addict.
I think about it like this,
I
man.
have it all gone before they even lock the door. Don't touch the candy. Oh shit, my bad.
Just already just licking it. Just like,
Yeah, dude.
I promise. I think there is all right, like if, how do I put this, man? Like if you're seeing a girl and like, cause you know, you come up with bits in the moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like shit's like, that would be funny to say. I'm gonna have to figure out how to say this without using your name or any identifying features. But like, I think realistically, I think the whole 18-month thing was what I landed on, just because it's like, look, it's far enough out at that point that like, if she's still somehow seeing my material, that means she's got a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I should be a distant memory at this point.
Yeah.
And number two, after about 18 months, you've had the chance to, you're not just going on stage and going, let me tell you about this wacky thing that happened to me. Like you've actually had some time to sit with it a little bit. Like you are incorporating it into the larger, my life is funny
Exactly. Yeah.
thing.
And then she hit me because she's not really into comedy, right? Which is fine. Like I understand. I've been doing this long enough to understand that not everybody's going to be into what you're into. I respect that.
I kind of
But
like that more, to be honest with you.
She actually hit me with, Well, Jerry Seinfeld doesn't talk about his family, and all I said was, "That's great." Jerry Seinfeld made it work for him.
Yeah.
I'm not Jerry. Is all the
Yeah.
fuck I'm saying. You know
Jerry
what I'm saying?
talks about his socks. You're my socks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it's not the way it works. So yeah, we had that whole discussion, and apparently, I mean, it didn't work out because
Actually-
I'm here.
I got into an argument once, kind of like that. The girl I'm with was like, when musicians sing their songs, you think like if blah blah wrote a song about an ex, you think like when he sings, he thinks about her, and I was like, oh, for sure, you have to get in the moment. Well, do you? When you do blah blah, do you think of X and Y? Well, I need to get in a headspace so it's more, so I can feel the emotion and give it to the crowd. Oh, I can't just perform it. I'm like, son of a... Like, this was a trap. You knew what you were doing.
That was definitely
That was a trap.
premeditated setup.
Yeah.
So
And I'm just at the point, like, I don't care. Break up with me if you
She's
want.
just a hunter in the woods with just backing up the bear, going, "Come on, buddy, come on."
It's
You know
funny
what?
that you
break up with me. I'll go back on the road and run away. That's the best, dude. Honestly, I love it. I love running away.
It's funny that you say that because when I used to write lyrics, I think I did get asked that a couple of times. It's like, oh, was this song about this? But the funny part is that the whole time, which wasn't a long time, but the whole time I was writing music, to this day, every song that I wrote or every lyric that I wrote that related to a woman, there's two women my entire life that when I wrote that, I thought about them.
Yeah.
One of them represented what a strong woman is and was. The other one represented like the hoe.
Yeah.
So every time that I wrote about a bitch and a hoe and she's sucking his dick and it was her. They don't know that, like, they don't know that they don't even know. I mean, we don't talk now. I take it back. I still talk to one of them. And I don't think she even knows that when I was doing you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was just them. So like everybody else that it comes after, and I mean, if anybody's watching this, just know, bitch, that none of the shit that I said is relating to you. It's just, I literally...
Got that bitch.
Yeah, I literally, when I wrote, I just wrote thinking of those two women.
Yeah.
And now, comedy's different. Because comedy's more, well, at least for me, when I'm sharing an actual experience, it's an experience that I've been through in particular. But like how you were saying, I don't use any names. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's just a particular experience. Like when I had somebody ask me directly recently, when I talk about my joke about dating a woman in a wheelchair, I really did fucking date somebody in a wheelchair.
Wait, that was real?
Yeah,
That's a good joke.
that Oh, you heard it?
Yeah, dude.
Oh shit. Okay. Okay. So that I really did date a woman in a wheelchair. Now, given I didn't fucking steal her wheelchair, but
Without her knowing.
That's the joke.
But I did really date a woman in a wheelchair. The fucking thing about me walking into Walmart and the kid looking at me weird and looking at his brother and be like, "Hey man, why does he walk like that?" That really fucking happened. Like that, I walked in and he was looking at me and he looked at his brother. He didn't say, "Why does he walk all fucked up and shit?" What he said was, "Hey man, why does he walk kind of funny?" That's what he said. But I mean, if I were to say that, it wouldn't have been as funny. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I changed it or whatever. Point is that actually happened. Now, the ending punchline of that whole joke were two different experiences that I glued together.
Oh,
I was just thinking about this. I actually had a piece of a bit that I was working on recently that I had already been doing the bit for probably about maybe 6 or 8 months. And I guess I must have hit that 18-month mark on a previous relationship because I went, oh, I should just tell this story about that one. Like, not I'll put her shit on blast. It's a little bit of a freaky story, but like, just like, that fits perfect in here. I don't know why. Like I said, I think I hit that 18-month mark and it was like, oh, this is free game now. That goes in the bank with everything else. But I was very careful not to, I fudged the facts a little bit just because, if she does hear this shit down the line, I don't need some call going, what the hell were you telling people about that shit?
Yeah.
It's like, look, you got fantasies and it was funny to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like musicians and comedians kind of have that common ground of you don't use names and you keep like descriptions of things very vague so the audience itself can put themselves in your position. So if you start filling in specifics, the idea of them relating to it and envisioning themselves in the situation is gone. And you need to keep up that fantasy at the same time.
Yeah, and then like 30 years later, you get like those stories about like, oh, Eric Clapton wrote that one song about what's his name's wife.
Yeah, exactly.
So I gotta be honest, like the reason that one of the particular reasons that I don't use names in my act is because I was told by a lawyer that if I used a name to identify somebody, they could actually sue me and have a good chance. Like they would have to get a good lawyer too, but they would have a good chance, a fighting chance of like getting money out of me.
See, you have so much more self-restraint. If someone said, don't use that name, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to use that name in places it doesn't even fit.
Perfect example. I mean, the lawyer didn't use this example for me, but later I found out about this. Perfect example is the Eminem example. Eminem got sued by his childhood bully.
Oh.
And he actually, he didn't,
and this was the guy that put him in the coma, right?
Yeah. So it was going to court. He was suing them, but Eminem actually settled the case out of court, which means that he more than likely, gave him a substantial amount of money. Now, keep in mind. I
want to make enough money so people can like sue me, and I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna make this as ridiculous as possible. Like they'll be like, oh, you use my name in a song. Yeah, well, one time you wore socks during sex and it was weird. I want that on record. Stenographer, please read back the minutes. It'll be like oh, that's a contempt of court, jail for 1 day, $1,000 bond. Give them $2,000. I'm about to do something else right now.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. There's
rich because I'm an asshole, and I want everyone else to like suffer for it.
Just to throw this out there, because I was thinking about this yesterday. I have noticed as I've gotten like healthier as a human being, I have to worry less about my text message exchanges. Like back in the day, if somebody was like, we're going to submit this into court, I'd be like, oh, please don't read that.
Dude, same. I'm not allowed to drink because I have like 2 DUIs. So they have me on like whatever, I don't care. They have me on like I have to like blow into it 3 times a day. And I don't wake up anymore going, what the fuck did I send? Oh no. But I hate it because I'm just like, nothing's fun anymore.
There is a little bit of an excitement to playing fucking like Sherlock Holmes the next morning.
Dude, I love it. I love the idea of completely ruining my life for the sake of like good songs.
With this receipt from a gas station and these potato chip crumbs, I'm deducing I'd sent this message about 3:00 in the morning.
There's a Mexican comic that actually made a joke about the joke. He says exactly that. He's like, y'all might think y'all see me up here and you think that my life is interesting. It's really not. He's like, what you're hearing, 80% of this shit, I purposefully provoke it. Like, I create these fuck-ups.
Oh, for sure, dude.
So that he was like, I purposefully create these fuck-ups so that I can bring you these jokes. And then he was like, don't judge me. I gotta eat, motherfuckers. This is all I know how to do, so I gotta eat somehow.
I'm just a piece of shit. Yeah. I have no other reason for it. I'm just an asshole. But I'm an asshole
sometimes it works.
No, but I have a tendency to piss off people who I think deserve it.
Yeah.
I can name he knows you.
I was telling Fred, because we've talked about...
I think he deserves it.
The specific story. I don't know if you want to go over that one again, but
yeah,
just know that that story's been shared.
Good.
But yeah, man, every once in a while, man, like
No, but I think if we're thinking of the same guy, I think he deserves it. I think he's a piece of shit.
let's be honest, there are probably a short list, fuck it, a long list of people we could just fit names in and out of various scenarios, and it'd be true. It would be completely true. To be honest, I think they're, again, going to the ego thing and the whole, that aspect of the entertainment. Like, look, there is a bit of a broken toy syndrome to people that want to get up in front of other people and
for sure.
accolades. Every once in a while you run into what you, I guess, could label a genuine artist. Somebody that's just like, I have this thing that I must share with the world. And most times it's just somebody going, look at me. Please look at me. Just.
Yeah, but what is an artist if not that?
I think at the best, it really is that person going
really
like,
think.
holy shit, I found this thing. Y'all should look at this. Like there's a.
Well, yeah, but I also think it's the look at me part that makes them an artist itself. Otherwise, just a dude who paints shit. If Van Gogh wasn't completely broken and wanted that attention, he'd just be a dude who worked at like a coffee shop who painted and was like, I like this, and then hung it up on his wall. I think you need to have that little thing of love me to be an artist.
I think you don't need. I don't think you need it, but I think that the artists that truly are broken are their art is way more special and lasting.
Yeah, that's why John Mayer puts out nothing but fucking bangers.
So when you're not, I truly believe that when you're not broken, like from experience, you can still be very creative and good at what you do, but it's your audience, whoever that audience is not gonna have that solid connection.
Yeah, exactly.
With like, that's why I think I've told you before, like on this podcast, when I was a kid, like I used to like always blame everybody, not blame, but I used to always look at everybody and question. I was like, why am I like this? Why am I like this? And there was
I still do.
Yeah, no, but me because of like how I am, right? I was like, why the fuck? Like, why? Like, why is it that I have to go through this and stuff like that? And then when I actually started doing comedy but I actually started really doing it and like being paid for it and actually doing shows, I started to realize and I started to thank, you know, I got to a point where I thank God for everything that happened to me.
For sure.
And for everything that I went through, because now I realized that if I hadn't had the childhood that I had, and I didn't have the disability that I have, and I didn't create the experiences that I created, I don't think I would have ever had the career that I
exactly.
Because then I think about it and it's like, bro, like I would have never. That's why I mean, if you don't do drugs, I don't condone it. But
I do.
I
encourage it.
Oh, for sure.
But I was like, if I didn't like do drugs, if I didn't do this, I would have never gotten here and here and here.
Yeah.
So then I would have never had these experiences.
Yeah.
Then I probably would have fucking been like a Jerry Seinfeld. Like all I got to talk about is socks.
Yeah.
And wallpapers and shit.
Let me throw this at you because I was just thinking about this, man. Like, I'm for in various people and at various points through the years, you come up against that motherfucker. It's like, oh, you got to pay the dues. You got to pay the dues. And it's like, first of all, it's like, motherfucker, what do you think I'm doing? But second of all, I think with a little distance, you realize.
You think I like working for free, motherfucker?
You know what?
This is what I was going to say.
Hold on. That's something I really want to bring up. And I'm sure you guys know, I don't associate myself with any local scene or area at all. I think that comedy or music scenes is what's going to kill the artistry of all of it. Once you start fitting yourself into a scene, just fucking quit.
Well, this goes to what I was saying. I think with a little bit of distance, you start realizing, oh, the dues I have to pay is putting up with your ass.
Exactly, and that's exactly why I don't like that one dude. Because he's very gatekeeping. I'm like, you're bringing the same 5 guys, but the other 10 guys you missed, not only are just genuinely the nicest people you will ever meet and have genuine experiences that not only can they share, they should, because a lot of people relate to it and feel a sense of comfort. But to put up with your crap because you think you're great, fuck you. You know, give to everybody. Like when I was promoting, there was this one band, and I'll name them, they're great, they're amazing, called Archangel. I booked their first ever show, and to this day, that is one of, and they're doing a lot of really cool stuff now. The thing that I want to go down and remember my own self for is that they said, hey, we want our debut show, can you give us an opening? So I was like, fuck yeah. They jumped on, I was like, man, these guys are awesome. Every time, we don't keep in touch anymore, not for any bad reason, stuff happens. You get older, you lose contact, you get busy. Every time they do anything, I'm like, man, these guys are just fucking killing it. I'm so glad I booked these guys. Everything they're doing is great. And when you don't associate yourself with scene, you can really grow. Like when I was in Houston, I was doing like 2 shows with this guy who's a country artist. I'm not a country artist. And we got to bond and hang out, share tips. He's a bit older than me, gave me advice. I have a little more road experience, I gave him advice. And then when the show was over, he's like, I got my stuff plugged in. I want to just jam for a bit to like the 2 people who were here. Like, let's do that. We still talk every day.
Right on, man.
There's dudes from like Pennsylvania when I was on the road who I met for like 2 seconds. Their music's not a lot like what we were doing, but we click just enough to where, again, I still talk to them every day. And it's not about, well, who can I hang out with to get this? It's about, let's just all fucking do our own thing. Don't associate yourself with any scene or thing, and just do your thing. And if you're going to be like, well, I don't like this person because I don't think he's up to my level, fuck you.
I also, when it comes to the creativity and the working of it, I strongly feel, but I've said this plenty of times. I'd say everybody, even especially the people that come up to me and like they want to start doing comedy and stuff. I tell everybody, whatever it is, and it doesn't even have to be comedy, but any creative space that you want to get into, you have to do it because you love it.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm not ashamed to say it. There is still shows that I've done today that I've done them for free.
Yeah, same.
But I've done it because I like to do it. Now, don't get any fucking ideas. It doesn't give you the right to come to me. Well, you did it for free, bitch. Can you do it for me? No.
I was in a million shows for free, even if it's just for like the sound guy. I love doing it. Man.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Normally, if it's something that I feel that it's for like a bigger cause,
yeah,
that's when I was like, okay, I don't mind. But it leads back to the nucleus of the thing. It's because what I do, I love it. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love what I do. Mm-hmm. In case y'all haven't figured it out, this beautiful thing that we're doing here now, we're still doing this shit for free. We don't get paid for any of this. And by the way, this is why you're not getting paid either.
Oh no.
So this podcast here is just because I like to talk to interesting people like you, and I like to get to know people. And the biggest thing that I've gotten from doing this podcast over the last 2 years or however long it's been, like it's helped me to really learn. And I'm saying this correctly. It's helped me to really learn to think and to listen. And that in turn has made me a better conversationalist. Like, people don't understand that to an extent, a conversation between 2 or 3 people is an art form.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people just think that, oh, you're just talking. Yeah, but there's a lot of aspects of a conversation
for sure.
that that you only learn. It's like everything else. You only learn as you continue to do it. And as you continue to have more and more and more conversations, you get better at it. But I also do it for the experience. I'm not necessarily saying that I get material from here, but just my experience, my interaction with you, may spark a joke.
Well, let's divorce it from the material. I've found myself more than a couple times, if we come in and do like a really like great recording, I'll carry that conversation throughout the week. Like I'll be referencing it later with like, friends and shit. Just be like, was having this one conversation and blah blah blah. And you
I
get
do the same thing.
and that works both ways too.
Yeah.
Like if I'm having really good conversations out in my life,
Yeah.
that comes into the podcast, and vice
Yeah.
versa. If it's a shitty podcast or a shitty week, it's like sometimes you come in here and it's like my brain's been on pause for about 7 days. How about you?
But speaking of learning, I don't know if you guys go through this, but as a musician, it's really hard for me to go to shows and watch other people on stage. Because the whole time I'm thinking, oh, I should have done this. Well, if I were him, I would have done that. I would have done. But last Saturday, I went to a show, and it's really hard for me to do because in my head, I'm just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I'd rather be the person on stage. I'm just getting depressed being here. And I was enjoying it, and I was like, for the first time, I was like, wow, it's just fun just to watch. And then as I'm watching everything go down, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I'm just gonna name names. I am a huge Parker McCollum fan. Since like his first album, I've just been riding that wave. And he played a show like just packed. And one of his openers, every time one of the openers' band would have like a solo or something, that performer would get like in front of them and like steal the spotlight. And it's like, you're the opener, but then you see Parker on stage, and whenever his guys are doing a solo, he backs up, and it's like, oh, that's how it's done. You got to know when to take a back seat, because there's an artistry in knowing when to just back up and do nothing. And the way that his band is so tight, like, and all of it was so live. Like the lead guitar player, I was right in front of him. I could see him messing with his pedals mid song, trying to get the thing he wanted while still not missing a beat. And I'm just going, wow, this is great. So it's like conversation. You're watching, and sometimes you don't want to watch. So you're like, well, I've already done it. I'd rather be doing myself than watching. But I feel like, in a way,
I think there might be a corollary, maybe not the right word, but a comparison to be made there with, like, say, session artists.
Yeah.
The kind of guys where you can bring them in and go,
yeah,
hey, here's some sheets. Can you have that? Yeah, man, cool. And they just come in and one, you need those you need a
For sure.
like a professional
For sure.
type of guy to just fit in where you need them. But number two, there is a temperament there where, like, we know comics that you can't put them on every show.
yeah,
Like,
oh, for sure.
They work on certain
For sure.
shows,
And some they don't.
Yeah,
and
You as a comic also have to understand, like, why you're not on that
Exactly.
show, and be
Exactly.
completely okay with it.
exactly.
yeah,
Like now I kind of learn to love when people come up to me, like even spectators,
Uh-huh.
and because believe it or not, the people do take out the time to actually let me know that when they tell me, well, you're not funny.
I like that.
And I've learned to be completely okay with it because of a very simple fact.
Yeah,
There is comics that I don't like. I wouldn't bother clicking on their special at all. And I'm not saying that they're bad comics. It's just their comedy is not for me. So I tell them, like I've told people, I was like, you know what, it's fine. I hope that you can find somebody that is more suitable and better to your liking.
Dude.
I'm completely not.
I call those my Beatles moments.
Yeah.
And I love them. I look for them because how they told the Beatles, "You have no place in show business." Every time, like, I think you suck. I'm like, my Beatles moment. They told me I sucked. They told the Beatles they sucked. I'm like the Beatles now.
Yeah.
to be fair, I watched a comic do a set a while back that they were doing it proper. They were going out there and giving all the energy and all that, but it was almost like they had written this like a year ago and they had moved past it.
Yeah.
The heart wasn't in it, but there was one fucking woman in the audience that was eating that shit up. I mean, she was cackling at this
I
material.
love that.
And it's one of those things where you go, it's not for me, but I love that you love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, there was another part of my mind going, fuck, I'm going to be on that stage in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I do not know if this lady's going to appreciate it.
Hey, I experienced that when I performed in Nebraska. Like, I went up, and when I went up there, like the opener start with the first show, because I did 4 shows.
Uh-huh.
The first one, I didn't know what it was going. Let me back up a little bit. So when because the show sold out, right? So then I go and I peek and I see the room full of people, but then I see that everybody in that motherfucker was white. But I mean like white, white. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh shit!
Like they start off sentences with "I'm not racist, but
yeah, exactly
like that type of white.
so then that was one thing. Second thing is I also knew that it was a conservative Republican crowd.
Oh, that's so fun.
So I was like, no. Well, when I saw that, I was like, oh shit! This is
Where he
not-
said that. No, it is not fun.
I was like,
Fuck 'em.
because my first thought was like, okay, no rape joke, no.
What?
You know
That's
what I'm
the
saying?
time to do it even more. If there's a very conservative, uptight party, oh, you best believe I'm a
Come on, fellas. You know that girl you leave in a cornfield? You know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
So when I was there and then I was like, okay, and then I kept thinking to myself, I was like, you know what, dude, relax. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be. So then the opener goes up, and he completely starts to lose the fucking crowd. Like completely, they start like leaving him. I was like, oh shit, this is
the first show?
This is the first show.
Wow.
So then I was like, oh shit, this is not gonna. And all he did was like 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, this is not gonna. I was thinking about me because I'm the headliner, and I was like, this is not gonna work out, well or whatever. So I was already thinking, do I switch my set? What part do I switch? Blah, blah, blah. So the very last 5 minutes, right before I was gonna go on stage, something clicked in my head. So in the back of my head, something clicked, and it told me, "Do your set, fuck it."
Yeah.
That's what clicked, and so I was like, "I'm doing my set, fuck it."
Yeah.
So I went up, and I just from my opening line, I said something really fucked up as I normally do. I remember just saying, I know y'all were told that this was a comedy show, but by now y'all are looking at each other and it's like, when the fuck did this turn into the Make-A-Wish Foundation?
Oh.
And they started laughing like the whole, and I was like, okay, I got it. So then I went into my set. I literally had the people floored, like laughing. And I was like, okay, I got it. So once I got the first show out of the way,
It was so good. They were like still talking about it at the client meeting the next day.
There was people from the first show that stayed for the second show. Like, and they literally told me, they were like, oh, well, I'm going to have more friends come over. So, I'm also going to stay, and you were great or whatever. So, but after I got the first show out of the way, like, I was like, okay, I got it. It's fine. But my biggest concern was that I gotta be honest, I had never performed for a room full of white people. Like, packed of nothing but white people. I performed for like 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 white people, you know what I'm saying? It's just normally a table.
Yeah.
When it's a table, if shit don't go well, you can just ignore them. I couldn't ignore the whole fucking room, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just glad that I was able to pull that shit off, man. Because I'm not gonna lie, when I first walked up there and I saw nothing but white folks, I was like, this is gonna be, but it turned out to be great, bro. It turned out to be great. And
I like that whole like, I'm just gonna go up there and do my thing. For me, I'm very like,
and by the way, just so y'all know, if there's any Nebraska people watching, if shit didn't work out, y'all were gonna have to listen to like 45 minutes of it, because I was not walking off on stage. So I never in my head did it cross my mind. If I bomb, I'm walking off in the middle of this.
Yeah, they've bombed enough places. You get to bomb one of theirs once.
You're just pulling that old Bill Burr routine. Fucking 15 minutes. I got 15 minutes left.
Yeah. See, but me, whenever I see like if someone who's opening is like if there's an act and they're kind of like not doing so great, instead of being like, oh shit, I'm next, I'm like, okay, well, what are they doing? okay.
Yeah,
that
I
one-
started
that-
doing.
that one thing
That's what I
Yeah,
started
despite the
to
fact
do.
that it's not going well, this
Yeah.
one thing they're doing is
Yeah.
really working. That's not.
And
Do I do any of that? And then even when I'm done, if I'm opening for someone, as soon as I get off, I'm like, okay, now this guy is the guy after me. I'm opening for him for a reason. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, what's he doing? Like, it's always like the whole time I'm there, it's always like I'm in study mode.
Yeah. And by the way, I just want to clarify this in case anybody from Nebraska watching. The opener didn't completely bomb. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that, but all I'm saying was that he struggled.
Yeah.
I also like the way that he was towards the end, though. He was kind of like the last 3 minutes of the set. He was able to bring him back because he started doing impersonations. And it actually worked. Like, he actually was good at that. So when he came off stage after the first show, I told him, I was like, hey man, I know it was kind of hard because he was like really bummed. He was like, bro, I lost him through like my whole set. And all I said was, hey man, it's fine. You did great with impersonations. Do you have any more? And he was like, oh, I have a shit ton of them. Good. Next show, start with that and continue through like half of it. So the second show, I didn't think he was going to listen to me because who the fuck listens to me? So the next show, he actually did that and he was able to carry the crowd like straight through. And then he came off and then he was, because he had a DMX impersonation and it was when DMX was on life support.
Right.
So he was having a
Impersonation
difficult.
was just.
He,
I'm sorry.
he was actually struggling because he was a real big DMX fan, and he was like, I know this is kind of difficult for some people if you're a DMX fan or whatever, but he was able to like carry him through, and he did that for the second show. So like he came off real hyped, and he was like, thanks, man. Like, that actually worked, and I don't know what. And I was like, no, thank you, because now you made my job easier. You know what I'm saying? So,
I think what that is like every performer has to find their thing, you know?
yeah.
Like, for example, and this is something that with musicians, I can't stand. When I see, like, musicians who, like, their entire persona is, well, I play music, so I'm, like, the cool guy. I'm the cool, mysterious dude, and I can't stand that because I'm like, okay, well, I can see right through it. You're putting on a facade. And with comedians, you know, you find your niche, your type of style. And I think when someone's trying to do a style that doesn't work for them, it's very obvious. Like me, I am not cool. I am not this well put together. Everything I say is like smooth as butter type. Example. So I know, like, I'm not the cool guy. I'm not gonna, like, one of my buddies is like the coolest dude ever. When he like tweets like something for promotion for his music, it's like cool. Like, you could just tell that is a cool dude. I'm not, you know, so I don't try to pretend to be. I'm like those YouTube musicians who they dress like they have like that big weird black hat that they all wear that I can't fucking stand. And they're trying to be the cool dude, the guy that gets all the girls.
It's like with me, like I hate when people ask me, they're like, well, you're a comedian, how come you're not funny online? And I was like, bro, because like I'm not. I
can't take my tweets to the open mic.
Yeah, like I
Oh my
tell
God,
them I'm not an internet comedian. Like I'm the stage is where I'm funny. It's what I do. It's an act. I can't put my act online. It's just, and there is people that are fucking hilarious when they tweet something out, and they're funny. I'm telling you, they're funny. But there's also people that they're only funny on Twitter. Then you go see them live, and it's like, this is not translating to what the fuck I'm watching. And they're not funny on stage, but they're hilarious on the keyboard. And I tell them, that's just not me. I'm not hilarious at all. I mean, I've said some shit like once or twice.
Yeah.
That really got a shitload of reactions and it got shared. The funny part is that when I said it, I wasn't trying to be funny. I
I know what you mean.
like,
man.
I was just,
I know exactly what
you know what I'm saying? And then people took it upon themselves to like comment. Now that was funny, and I was like, well, thanks a lot, Dick. I wasn't trying to be funny, but I'm glad you laughed.
I
But-
see it as I write cool guy music, but I'm not cool. Like my lyrics, like if you hear, like when you guys will hear it soon, when it's like all recorded, it sounds very like oh, that's like that cool California indie rock type stuff that like cool kids will shove you in your lockers to. But then you see me, I'm like, hey, can we talk about how Captain Marvel actually in the comics she's much different, and she wasn't actually the first Captain Marvel. I'll be like, okay, sure.
Yeah,
It's
the same thing.
it's like tweets.
like
Yeah,
there's
you're
some,
busting out like Excelsior, and they're like, "Shut up and play the guitar."
dude. I have.
yeah, it's very that's why another thing that I don't.
Hold on, I just want to share a story. I was doing a gig years ago. This is when I was in one of my older bands. So this girl walks up to me. She goes, "Oh, you're Derek from blah blah." I was like, "Yeah." "Oh, actually, I've heard your guys' EP. It's great." And blah blah. I was like, "That's awesome." And I guess she was like trying to be like, "Oh, I kind of want to see how this goes with this dude."
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to make small talk, and I was like, "You know what bothers me about Titanic? They could have both fit on the door." No, not that. If Rose just kind of went on the boat, they would have ended up in the same spot. Now Jack has to like watch out for both of them, and he found that raft first. And when they found the raft, they took her to the lifeboat, the same one she was supposed to be on. They would have met each other. All she had to do was stay on the boat. She was like, "Okay, what's that you're reading?" "Oh, it's the newest issue of Spider-Man." And she's like, my friend's over there." I was like, "Damn it!"
Well, like I think there, and granted,
Also, that Titanic thing just bothers me a lot.
you could probably dissect like the growth of like, oh, we'll invite the musicians. They're the cool guys. When back in the day, it was like, hey, these dweebs play guitar. Like, we should get them for the party.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was a certain honesty about that. You know what I mean? Like somebody, we're going to need to close out real quick, but just throw this out there. Somebody, I came across a quote at one point that was like, as a performer, and specifically about comics, they were like, look, you have to be the coolest person in the room, was the way they put it.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I was like, I don't know if that's right. And then somebody clarified that for me. It's like, look, you don't have to be the coolest. You don't have to be like the best dressed. You know what I mean? You just have to be the most interesting motherfucker in the room at that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that could be the geek that just wandered in off the, mustard stain on one corner going like, hey man, I got some thoughts.
But I'm just last note on my end. I used to worry a lot about when I used to go perform. More so when I started being paid for it.
Yeah.
Is when I started worrying. I used to worry a lot about being paid for a show and not making the audience laugh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then I
The Chappelle quote.
the Chappelle quote, when he said, "Hey man, I'm like Evel Knievel. I get paid for the attempt.
Yeah.
Not all this shit gonna land." That's what made me like, hey, you know what? It's true. Like, it's right. You know what? I'm telling you these jokes. They might make you laugh. I'm not giving you your money back, though. There's no refunds for this shit. You know what I'm saying? I did my job. My job is the attempt. So when I took that quote to heart and I understood what Chappelle said, it made me ease off the nerves when I would perform. And in turn, I found out that I was funnier because I was not like, I gotta make them laugh. It's like, cool. If I make them laugh, like I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I don't, I still got paid. I don't have to give you your money back. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not. I'm truly not. But I was paid to perform. That's what I was paid for.
Yeah.
If you thought the performance was shitty, that's on you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's when the DJ comes on and says, your comics are working for tips and tips alone.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Derek, you want to let the folks know where you're at, where they can find you?
I'm actually, next month, I debut my new band, Ethan Hawke. So you can follow it at Ethan Hawke, ETHUN, Hawke as spelled, because then the actor might sue me.
I don't know. He's pretty cool. He might appreciate the NDC.
Or you'll never hear of me, and that's even better.
You got to appreciate a guy that married Uma Thurman and went,
Y'all want to live on a? Y'all want to leave this episode on a sad note?
Not anymore.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
What did I do?
Who's dead?
The great Paul Mooney just passed away.
No!
He'd been in the hospital for, off and on for the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so shouts out to Paul Mooney, man.
Fact check that.
And if y'all are listening to this and you don't know
It's
who
in
Paul
the
Mooney
it's in the
is,
New York Times, so it's
man.
I'm like 99% sure it's true.
Yeah.
Had this shit been on TMZ, I would be like, all right,
to
TMZ.
be honest, man, TMZ is pretty good
on
about
point, yeah.
reporting deaths.
Yeah.
But if you don't know who Paul Mooney is, stop listening to this podcast right fucking now. But
How do
Freddie,
you not know who Paul Mooney is?
I know, man.
I'm
motherfuckers.
my name Freddie G, and y'all can find me on Instagram. I have Freddie G. For my latest shows and whatnot. Not funny posts apparently, because I'm not good at that.
for that, you got to get Instagram and look at his selfies.
Yep.
One last thing, and
Of course.
I feel like this fits the theme of what's been going on, and somehow there is a Joe Walsh quote that says, when you as life goes by, it seems like there's all this chaos and different waves, but then when you stop and look back at the end, you realize it's more of a finely crafted novel. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the theme of today, is all the weird shit we did ended up in us kind of enjoying, loving what we're doing now, almost as if it was meant to happen.
Sometimes you find yourself lying in the back of an ambulance thinking, this is going to make a great story.
Been there.
You can find me at hatfieldstandup@gmail.com if you want to reach out, as well as Hatfield Standup on most of your favorite social medias. And if you'd like to reach out to us here at the podcast, bouncingbrainspodcast@gmail.com. And you can find all the audio episodes at shoutengine.com/bouncingbrains, as well as Spotify and Stitcher. You can find the video on YouTube. You have to look for Bouncing Brains. We haven't quite hit that 100 mark, but thank you for the new subscribers we picked
We're
up
at
recently.
89. 11 fuckers. Just 11 more. 11 fuckers.
All I need in my life is 11 fuckers.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so we're hopefully gonna maintain schedule. Thanks for y'all that have started listening after the hiatus. We promise never to leave you too long again.
Oh, thank God.
And until next time, keep it tight.
Rest in peace, Paul Mooney.
Rest in peace, Paul Mooney. He's a funny motherfucker. Shit. All right. Good night, morning, whatever it is.
Afternoon.